Hello everyone, this is your local real estate agent Brandon Barkema, and for our project today I'm going to show you how to just change out a simple cover. A lot of times with the inspections that we get, the inspector will call out a non-outdoor cover for an outdoor outlet. Very simple to do. You can pick these up for next to nothing, about $10 to $20 for a cover depending on what style you want. I have some other wires and stuff for my Nest camera going in here, so I got one that's a little bit thicker so I can close everything up, make sure it's all secured and watertight while still having the things we have plugged in. So I'll get you a little closer and we'll get started on it. Alright, so with this project, it's always smart to shut any breakers off if you're doing anything electrical. But for this, all we're going to need is a Phillips number 2 point, just to put a couple screws in here. Be careful with these because these units would be hot on the side of these terminals unless you shut off the electrical, but very simple to do. So with this, we have different plates that we can put in. If you want, you can take this pin out and make it open left and right versus up and down. Just depends on what you guys want. First things first though, this is for a square outlet. Here we have a round one. If you want to change it out now would be a good time. We'll pop out that piece there, that filler piece, and we'll stick this one in. So pretty easy, they just snap in right behind each other, just like this. And there we go. Now on here, when we're done, it's going to go on here like this, and we may have to do some additional caulking around the edges if this is a little small. But for now, take off that. We're just going to unscrew these a little bit. And this one's bigger than the top one, so I'll have to replace that just entirely. Alright, they have the screws that come in the bag here for different styles. And hopefully this... No, that's not going to work, is it? Put a bigger screw in. Alright, well unfortunately they put a bigger screw in there, which happens sometimes. People do their own thing. It should be a smaller screw, but... Let's see if we can... So with this, on the back here you can slide the screw head in and slide it over, then tighten it down. So it's nice and tight. And what we're going to do first, though, just to make this easier for you guys, is I'm going to pop this out. Maybe. Alright, so basically I took this piece out that held the clear cover on, and if you wanted to switch it, you could switch them over to this side, so you could open them this way instead if you didn't want them up and down. But this is mainly just so it's easier to show you guys at the same time. So right now I just loosened it up a little bit. I'll tighten this back down. And we'll use the bigger screw that they had, even though it's really not the right size. And Alright. It's tight on there. We'll put this back on. Just like that. The cover goes on. We'll turn the power back on when we're done. And caulk the side. So let me go grab some caulking. We're going to use silicone-based caulking for exterior. Latex is meant for more trim work and stuff on the inside. So let me go grab some caulking. I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so I have a lot more to talk about with caulking and sealing around penetrations in a house, but we'll make it quick and easy for this one. Main thing is you want to use a silicone-based caulking. The latex stuff is really just best used for trim work and things on the inside that don't require much expansion or contraction. So here I have the OSI Quad Max. It's they can be anywhere from $7 to $10 a tube, so they are a little bit more expensive, but we're using it on the exterior of the house, so we want to make sure that it's sealed up nice and tight. First thing is it's got a bunch of warning content on here that you can read. But this is a silicone 2 based, which the main thing is it's paintable. So we want to be able to paint this, otherwise it'll either stay clear or white or whatever color you get. This is clear. And if you get a non-paintable one, which is a silicone based 1, this is a silicone based 2, it just makes it so you can paint it if you're going to have house painted and things like that. So first thing, some of the things we're going to need, obviously caulking. You can either get it in a squeeze tube, which I'm not a big fan of, or you can use a caulking gun like this here. This one, I like the ones that have an auto back on them, so you don't have caulking squeeze out while you're using it, when you stop using it. This one's not that. They're pretty inexpensive though. You can get them at your hardware store. But anyway, you need a caulking gun, the caulking, or silicone in this case. I put gloves on because the silicone based stuff is very hard to get off your hands and skin, so you don't want to get it on there. Paper towel for cleanup, and then the trick to be able to smooth this out without getting it everywhere is just a little bit of dish soap and some water. So when you stick your finger in there, it doesn't stick to your finger, and you can, it makes it a little bit more pliable. But anyway, first thing is we cut the top off of here of this one. Not all of them are created equally, so we cut the top off, and that's it. Some of them have a metal foil on the inside that you have to poke to be able to access. So these caulking guns, they have this metal piece on the bottom here. So when you have the tube on, some of them, like I said, have the foil, and so you just stick it down the end of the tube to poke the foil. And then your nozzle, which sometimes they're already on, and they don't come off like this, but you just cut it. I cut it at an angle like that. And then you just put it in the caulking gun, like so. Adjust your nozzle however you want. And with this, we're going to actually cut off some of the old caulking here. Alright. Got all the caulking cut off up here, so it's got a nice clean place for the new caulking to adhere to. And so we just take the handle, we'll squeeze it, and you'll see it come out slowly. The biggest mistake people make when using any type of silicone or caulking based material is they put too much on there and then it gets everywhere. It's easy to add more. It becomes very difficult to take stuff away. So we have a pretty big gap here that we want to make sure gets filled. So we go all the way around, filling in that big gap we had. So we don't get any moisture or bugs or anything else in there. Alright, so now we just take our finger and dip it in the water. And this is why you want gloves on. And basically, you just smooth it out nice and even all the way around. I have a paper towel here just to clean it off. Sometimes it's easier to use. Put a little too much soap in this one. It's just barely, you want to get your finger just damp. And double check, make sure it's all sealed. It's a little easier with white than clear to be able to see everything. But that's pretty much it. Put the cover back on. I like mine to go up and down for this. But that's it. So we have a couple things we have plugged in here. So we'll pull that out. And there we go. It's all covered up, all sealed, watertight. And then when we paint the house, we'll come back and we can either touch that up if you're not going to paint the whole house, or if you're going to have the whole house painted, go around and do all your caulking and stuff like that if the painters aren't going to do it. A lot of times painters will do it, but sometimes they don't, I've heard. But anyway, with it being a silicone 2 based, that white stuff we can actually paint, and it'll paint over with latex paint just fine. So that's pretty much it for this. On to the next one.